My name is Sophie, and I am an anthropologist. Recently, I was given a unique opportunity that promised to be the pinnacle of my career. I was invited to a small town on the edge of Siberia, where, according to rumors, an ancient culture had been preserved, one that modern scholars had yet to study. The journey was long and arduous. I traveled through bustling metropolises, quiet villages, and endless forests. When I finally reached the town, I was greeted by the stark beauty of the local landscape's endless taiga, snow-covered hills, and crystal-clear air. The town looked like it was from another time: wooden houses with thatched roofs, ancient churches, and narrow streets where sleds moved slowly. The townspeople welcomed me with caution, but also with respect for my desire to learn about their history. They lived in isolation from the rest of the world, preserving their customs and traditions. The first days were especially challenging: language barriers, unfamiliar customs, and the harsh climate. But as I spent more time with the locals, these barriers began to fade. From the very first day, I immersed myself in studying the local customs. Every evening, I attended gatherings where legends and folklore were shared. People told their stories, and I meticulously recorded every word in my notebook. I was particularly impressed by the village elder, Daniel. This wise old man knew many secrets and stories passed down through generations. His home was like a museum: walls adorned with ancient symbols, shelves overflowing with old books and artifacts. Daniel eagerly shared his knowledge, telling me about the life and beliefs of his people. Days in the village passed in a rhythm that seemed both measured and rich. In the mornings, I helped the women gather berries and mushrooms in the forest, learning to identify medicinal plants and understand their properties. In the evenings, we sat by the fire, and the elders told stories about great ancestors, forest spirits, and ancient heroes. These tales were full of myths and legends, but they carried deep wisdom and understanding of the world. One day, after one of these gatherings, Daniel invited me to his home. His hut was filled with ancient artifacts, symbols, and drawings that told the story of their people. In the center of the room stood a large wooden table covered with old maps and manuscripts. Daniel told me about a great secret ritual held once every century. This ritual, he claimed, allowed communication with the spirits of ancestors and the prediction of the future. I was stunned by what I heard. This could be not only a scientific breakthrough but also a deeply personal experience. Daniel offered me the chance to participate in preparing for this ritual, and I gratefully accepted. Over the next few months, I helped the locals, studied ritual practices, and prepared myself both spiritually and physically. I learned to craft ritual masks, gathered herbs for the ceremonies, and took part in communal prayers. We also spent a lot of time in the forest, where Daniel showed me sacred places hidden from outsiders. One such place was on the riverbank, where an ancient stone altar stood. This altar was covered with carved symbols and drawings that told stories of the past. Daniel explained that this altar was used for special rituals aimed at communicating with the spirits of nature. The day of the ritual finally arrived. We gathered in a sacred spot deep in the forest, accessible only by old, forgotten paths. At night, under a starry sky, the ritual began. The locals sang ancient songs and danced around the fire, and I felt myself being drawn into this magical event. The large fire illuminated everything around, and the shadows of the dancing people created intricate patterns on the trees. Daniel explained to me that every element of the ritual had its significance. The songs were meant to attract the attention of ancestral spirits, the dances expressed respect and reverence, and the fire symbolized the connection between the earthly world and the world of spirits. I tried to follow all instructions, feeling a deep respect and responsibility for the trust placed in me. At one point, Daniel led me to the center of the circle and handed me a symbolic amulet. It was made of ancient wood, inlaid with semi-precious stones, and shaped like a bird, symbolizing a guardian spirit. Daniel said that I was now part of their history, and that I must carry it into the world. He spoke words in an ancient language, and I felt a profound sense of peace and understanding descend upon me. This experience changed me forever. I realized that anthropology is not just the study of people but also a deep, personal understanding of other cultures. I left Siberia with a rich trove of knowledge and unique experiences that I promised to share with others. This trip became the pinnacle of my career and inspired me to make new discoveries. Upon returning home, I wrote numerous articles and books, shared my knowledge with colleagues and students, hoping that my experience would help better understand and preserve the rich cultural heritage of humanity. Additionally, I organized a series of lectures and exhibitions where I presented artifacts and told the stories I had heard in Siberia. I hoped that my research would not only help preserve the culture of this remarkable people, but also spark interest in studying and preserving other disappearing cultures around the world.